What if I told you that everything you think you know about human history is just the final chapter of a much, much older story? Well, we're about to dive deep into a source that lays out a hidden cosmic drama and a very detailed plan for what it calls humanity's liberation. This is definitely not the history you learned in school, so let's just jump right in. The source material kicks things off with this powerful idea from Descartes, and it really sets the tone for everything that follows. It's basically asking us to hit the reset button, to suspend our disbelief and be willing to question it all. Because the whole premise we're exploring here is that our reality is part of a grand deception, and the only way to see the truth is to be willing to doubt what we've been told. All right, so let's get into the first part of this blueprint, a version of our history that is, well, it's pretty wild. The source claims that all of our recorded history is just the very end of a cosmic drama that actually started millions of years ago, involving forces and events way beyond our everyday perception. So check out this timeline. It completely reframes our entire existence. It all kicks off 8 million years ago with what you could call a cosmic accident. Angelic beings try to fix a flaw in creation, but instead they get trapped and become the first forces of darkness. Then we jump to a supercritical point. 26,000 years ago, Earth is taken hostage, and a planetary quarantine is established. But here's the real kicker. The narrative claims that we, right here, right now, are living in the final moments of this ancient story, the time of the final breakthrough. Okay, so that word quarantine, what does it actually mean in this context? This is the central problem that the whole blueprint is designed to solve. And it's not just some barrier out in space. No, it's described as a really complex, multi-layered system of control, specifically designed to keep humanity trapped, isolated, and most importantly, disconnected from a much greater reality. This whole control system is called the Matrix. Now, try to think less about the sci-fi movie and more about a societal structure. The source claims this is a kind of virtual reality that runs on two main pillars. First, a debt-based financial system that keeps everyone in a state of struggle. And second, mass media programming that shapes how we think, what we believe, and what we see as possible. And the source gets incredibly specific about the alleged technology holding all of this in place. It talks about physical layers, like biochips used for emotional and even biological manipulation. But then it goes deeper into non-physical layers, like an electromagnetic frequency fence called the veil, designed to block our spiritual awareness. And it even describes something called plasmatic implants that are supposedly designed to erase our memories of past lives before we're born, effectively cutting us off from our higher consciousness. And here's the number that really puts the sheer scale of this into perspective: 26,000 years. According to this narrative, that's how long this quarantine has been in effect. That timeline covers all of our recorded history. We're talking the pyramids, the Roman Empire, the entire modern age, and it suggests it all happened inside this cosmic prison. Now, a conflict of this magnitude, you know it's going to have two sides. So the narrative now shifts to the central struggle, a cosmic war between the forces trying to keep this quarantine going and the forces working tirelessly to tear the whole thing down. So here's a quick who's who of the key players. On the side of control, you've got groups like the Chimera, said to handle the technology, and the Archons, who focus on the spiritual suppression side of things. The source even points to earthly groups like the Jesuits as being the managers of the power structure here. Now, fighting for liberation, you have the forces of light. This includes the Galactic Confederation. Think of it like a United Nations of positive extraterrestrial races like the Pleiadians, and also an underground resistance movement that's apparently already here, working from within. So what's the end game for these dark forces? What do they actually want? Well, it's laid out very clearly. Maintain the quarantine at all costs. The purpose, according to the source, is to essentially farm humanity for negative emotional energy, things like fear and suffering, and above all, their main goal is to keep us from ever reconnecting with our higher consciousness, which the text simply calls the source. And the light force's objectives? Well, they're the complete opposite, as you'd probably guess. Their goal is simple, but it's absolutely monumental: the total and complete liberation of planet Earth. That means helping us reconnect to the source, pulling the curtain back on all the hidden truths of our past, and kicking off what the blueprint describes as a new golden age for all of us. So all of this epic, long-running conflict, it's all building to the story's climax, a single, planet-wide moment of liberation that the source simply calls the event. This isn't described as some slow, gradual change either. It's meant to be a sudden, decisive, and final breakthrough. The mechanism for how this happens is called the compression breakthrough. It's a pretty cool concept. Imagine the surface of our planet is like the middle of a sandwich. You've got the forces of light from above, the Galactic Confederation in the sky, and the forces from below, the resistance movement underground. The idea is that they will both move towards the surface at the same time, literally compressing and squeezing out the forces of control in one single coordinated maneuver. So what would this event actually look like for us, down here on the ground? The blueprint breaks it down into 4 main stages. First, mass arrests to remove the controllers from their positions of power. Second, a complete reset of the financial system. Third, the mainstream media suddenly starts disclosing everything that's been hidden for so long. And all of that leads to the final stage, the beginning of a total societal transformation. And here's a really fascinating detail the text includes. To make all of this happen safely, there would apparently be a global lockdown for 1 to 2 weeks. This is framed as a public safety measure, to make sure the old power structures can be taken down without creating total chaos or any collateral damage. So, if the event is the climax of the story, what's the resolution? Well, the source paints a picture of a radically different world, one that's built on amazing advanced technologies that have allegedly been kept from us for centuries. For starters, just imagine a world with free energy. Really think about that. The text claims devices that can provide clean, limitless power will be released to everyone. This would completely end our reliance on fossil fuels and just revolutionize everything about modern life. And then there's healthcare. The source describes these so-called med beds that use advanced energy fields to completely regenerate the human body. We're talking about curing any disease, even reversing the aging process, supposedly in just a matter of minutes. And finally, there's the one piece of technology that changes society itself: replicators. These are supposedly devices that can materialize any physical object right out of raw energy. And if you can create anything you need, that makes physical scarcity, and therefore money, totally and completely obsolete. And this quote from the text just perfectly sums up the whole philosophy of this promised future. All the struggles we face right now, they're presented not as a natural state of being, but as an artificial system that's meant to be overcome, allowing life to finally become what it was always supposed to be: a journey of joy and creativity. This all leads to a really crucial final question, right? If this massive liberation is basically preordained and going to happen anyway, then what's our role in all of this? What are we supposed to do? Well, according to the source, our part isn't just to sit back and watch the show. It's to make a conscious choice, to choose love over fear, cooperation over conflict, and freedom over control. Because in the end, this blueprint suggests that the true engine of cosmic liberation isn't spaceships or secret movements. It's a collective shift in human consciousness itself.